And quickly I went from being an intern to, having a little side hustle company with a guy to effectively doing marketing for every major label, and doing campaigns for Post Malone, Big Sean, 2 Chainz, Migos, almost every large artist on a label I've done a campaign for.
Nothing like stars from a paradise. Don't care cause there's magic in the air tonight. Pretty girl in my ear, she the rarest type. Heaven on earth is right here tonight. I'm in the dream state. I'm in the dream state.
We got my guy, Dillon Druz. How we doing, brother?
We're doing good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm so hyped that it worked out that you were able to just shoot down from the city, come to Reds and get the episode going. So as I kind of mentioned in the intro, we grew up together. We knew each other, prior to high school, I guess through sports and just, mutual friends. Then we go to high school together, and we were pretty close in high school. We did a lot.
Senior year.
Yeah, I mean, senior year, especially when we were doing the music and everything, we really got close. And then everybody went off to college and went their separate ways and everything. But we have stayed in contact ever since then. And we've seen each other a bunch of times since, but never really where we've got to spend a significant amount of time together and, catch up and see. And we've seen what each other has been doing over that time period, but the finer details of all of that is something that, at least in your journey, I don't really know. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that and then just chopping it up and catching up and telling some stories. So I guess, catching up to speed with everybody. We went to high school, senior year, we were pretty close. Everybody went off and did their thing. Where did you go from when we graduated high school? You were out to California?
Yep. So as soon as high school was over, I had this grand scheme that I wasn't going to go to college and I was going to move to LA and be a famous rapper.
Okay.
So I packed my bags. I saved up a couple $1,000. And I moved to LA and I slept on my cousin's couch for the first 2 years. So I moved to LA. I'm living on the couch. I'm trying to be a rapper. It's not working. I quickly realized I don't have the talent and really the drive and passion that you need to really succeed. I started managing an artist at the time named Marley Blaze in California.
Demon Mob. Yeah.
Demon Mob. You
Let's
remember.
Go. Let's go.
And that fell out, and really, I effectively stopped doing anything music-related for about 2 years. I kind of fell in a rut. I was partying with all these LA people, kind of just sucked into that whole scene of Beverly Hills and, Hollywood and celebrities and, superficial stuff. And I was in this sort of crew, sons of famous celebrities. And for me, I was just in awe. But the biggest problem was a lot of them were partying too much. I didn't go to college. They were also not in school, some of them. Effectively, we were degenerates. and at some point, I had a wake-up call. I stopped partying. And I was 21 or 22, working at Chipotle with no college degree, really just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. At the time, this is right when social media and Instagram started becoming popular. And my sister said, hey, my friend's looking to get followers on Instagram. Can you help her out or help him out? And I said, I don't know how to do that, but I got nothing else going for me right now in my life. So any free time I had, I started, watching YouTube tutorials and, videos and just trying stuff myself. Fast forward, I figured out how to, grow Instagram followers. She started referring me to businesses to help grow their social media. And also, I like to say Z-list celebrities. So now I can't say their names because I'm calling them out, but low, some low celebrities. I don't like to, pretend it was something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I got an internship at a company called Rebel Way Entertainment. Okay. So it was a company that was putting influencers in movies, because this was during the Vine era when, social media influencers, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, all of these people were really starting to blow up. And in LA, a lot of the film studios were trying to take this online presence and use it to market and sort of combine traditional Hollywood. So I had an internship with this company, free internship, was working, quickly realized I didn't like film at all. But on the side, I was doing social media marketing. One day, somebody came in for a meeting for the film company, and, I became friends with him. I started talking to him, and he said, I think you'd be a really good fit for a social media manager for musicians. And at the time, he was working with Nicki Minaj on all her social media, and also Keisha Cole. Okay. So he said, look, I'm going to introduce you to Keisha, Nicki's manager, and, pitch yourself as an expert, and I'll sort of show you the ropes and teach you how to, do all of this. And really, this is back in 2015. Being an expert was just being 21, 22 years old, and I understood how to use Instagram because rappers didn't have social medias back then. It's crazy now to think how big, Instagram, TikTok, everyone knows how to use it. But back then, people, especially musicians, were like, do I need this? I don't know how to post, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So I ended up meeting their management. At the time, they were also managing Young Thug. Okay. And also an artist named K-Camp. Have you heard of K-Camp?
I've seen the name, but I'm not too familiar.
Yeah, in 2015 to 2016, he had 3 hits. I'm not going to sit here and sing them, but a couple really big Vine songs. He signed Interscope Records, multiple platinum. Yeah. He's the one that did that song Lottery on TikTok last year.
Yes.
But this is back 5 years ago. No, 7 or 8 years ago, actually. So I started working for K-Camp. I started managing his social media, posting for him, coming up with captions, collaboration strategies, using other rap pages on Instagram to promote his music, and more so a consultant and a digital expert on his team. Because at the time, and even up until now, a lot of rappers need a digital person just to help them, fill in all the gaps and holes for their career online. So I started working for K-Camp. I quickly realized that my job is very replaceable because all I'm doing is he's sending me photos. I'm coming up with a grid and a calendar. I'm scheduling them. I'm posting them. But I realized quickly, anybody could do this. There's nothing inherently that makes me different than him hiring his little sister or just doing it himself. So I said, I need to figure out how to make music go viral. I need to know how to market the music, not manage the digital presence of the artist. Okay. So I got referred by K-Camp to somebody who introduced me to OT Genesis. So OT Genesis did Coco, Cut It.
Yeah, big time.
Big time.
Big time.
And he came to me and he's like, look, Dillon, I have all these hit records. They play me in the club every night, but nobody really knows who I am as far as social media goes. So we came up with all of these crip walking stunts, and I used them to, seed throughout the internet. So Instagram has, rap pages, there's World Star, there's Hood Comedy. And at the time, people, especially artists, weren't tapping into all these accounts. And obviously now this is the new PR. This is the new way to market. So I said, okay, OT, let's come up with all of these stunts of you crip walking in Dubai, you're outside the White House or at a gas station. Let's put your music behind it. And then I'm going to manufacture them to go viral. So he went from growing 5,000 followers a month to 100,000 followers a month.
Jeez.
And then he referred me to a couple people at Atlantic Records is where he was signed. And then I started doing digital campaigns for, Cardi B, Jack Harlow, early Jack Harlow. And I quickly realized that the music marketing is my specialty. But I was still figuring it out. Honestly, I was winging it the whole time. I really had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, yes, I can do that. I would say yes to everything, and then I would figure out how to do it after.
Well, there was no blueprint for it at that time, correct?
No
blueprint. You were creating the blueprint. Yeah.
I was one of the first people doing digital marketing in the influencer sense with these labels. And, you know, I just saw, there's a rap account that has 4 million followers. How come none of the labels are paying for their artists to be on there? They were still in the, PR complex era, and, even like articles, which obviously nobody, uses that anymore. So I started working for Atlantic. Then they refer me to Interscope Records. And, I quit the internship. I start my own company. I partnered with the guy that originally got me into it with K-Camp and Young Thug's manager. And I started working for Interscope, and they said, hey, we have this kid, Rich the Kid we just signed. We have this song Plug Walk coming out. We want to do a meme campaign. Once again, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I said, okay, you got it. I'm a meme expert. Let's figure this out. And I did I had one of my, guys that works for me / friend, Stell or Harrison, make this Fortnite meme with Plug Walk behind it. And it was the, like emotes on Fortnite with the dances. This was right when Fortnite was getting huge in 2016, 2017.
That took off, huh?
And it was a Plug Walk meme, and it just went viral. And the song obviously blew up, not because of the meme, but it coincided with the meme, started charting on Apple and Spotify, became a radio hit. Rich the Kid was really the biggest. You remember Plug Walk back then?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was on the radio every day. And because I executed that, and that was really my first campaign I did with Interscope, I just got referred to RCA Records, Columbia Records, Republic Records. And quickly I went from being an intern to, having a little side hustle company with a guy to effectively doing marketing for every major label, and doing campaigns for Post Malone, Big Sean, 2 Chainz, Migos, almost every large artist on a label I've done a campaign for.
That's insane.
And it was insane for me too, because I was working at Chipotle 9 months before this, ready to move back to Jersey effectively.
And when they're referring you, like you keep mentioning, like you getting referred, are they referring you for just like individual campaigns for each artist? Or is it something where, like, because it seems like you're going from artist to artist, doing different campaigns for different labels. So are you working a specific campaign for each artist and then kind of moving on to the next?
Exactly. So let's just say you're Kendrick Lamar. Mm-hmm. You're dropping a song this Friday. The label would reach out to me saying, hey, Dillon, Kendrick's dropping this Friday. We want to do a meme campaign. We want to do a sports campaign. We want to do a TikTok campaign. Here's our budget. Go crazy. And then at the same time, there might be 3 or 4 artists also on Interscope where they say, okay, we have this budget for this budget for that. And then you go on to the next. The thing about music is there's so much music being put out that there's just campaigns coming in from the ether everywhere.
That's what
they're
I'm
just
thinking.
flying from the sky.
Yeah, as soon as you're getting referred to these other labels and other artists, I mean, they all got to be like, and especially at that time, like you said, like you were the first one, you were the expert.
Yeah.
So, like, they're looking to you to do these campaigns, and I just imagine, like, all right, this is taking off. They see the virality of it and all that, and they're like, we got to push this.
Exactly. Like, one person, what would happen, too, is someone would work at Interscope, and then 3 months later, they would leave to get a better job at Atlantic. So then I would still be working at Interscope, and then they would go work at another label, and then they would bring me all their clients. And the music industry is very small, so people talk. And the great thing about it is there's so much music being put out, and there's so many artists that there's just, if you're good, there's an infinite amount of work, to do. So to start doing that, I have an office. I remember my partner told me, we're only hiring people that went to college. I always thought that was funny. I'm like, well, I didn't go to school, so why do we care about that? You know?
Yeah.
But it was all very surreal because, like I said, I was making ends meet barely a year prior, and all of a sudden I'm like the CEO of a digital marketing agency. And obviously me and you go way back. We were massive rap fans. Me and Palsy were, rap fanatics.
Huge.
And went to shows, rapped ourselves. So for me, it was a surreal moment where I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? This is freaking crazy, you know?
That is crazy to think about, like, because how into the fact that you just said that, putting it into my mind now, like how into it we were. And then now thinking about it from your perspective of where you were at that point, it must have been insane.
Yeah, it was shocking. I was so confused, but I was pleasantly surprised and happy. But sometimes I would wake up and say, how is this my life? You know, like, how did this happen?
Huh? Yeah. So when you start these campaigns, you start doing it for these artists. They're reaching out to you. They want to, you know, look at the virality. Did you see any, in terms of like patterns, were you able to notice anything as you went from campaign to campaign in terms of, because you said, oh, we want to do a sports one, we want to do a joke one, we want to do this. Are there any similarities between different types of campaigns that you used in terms of like marketing schemes or things like that?
Yeah. I quickly realized, let's just, you know, meme campaigns was my bread and butter back in the day. What that means is we'll take a song and we'll put it behind a meme and then get it up on all these large meme pages like World Star, Funny Hood Vids, Puberty. But the similarities that I realized quickly was that the song has to be integrated into the meme where the meme relates back to the song.
Yeah.
So if the song's talking about heartbreak, a video meme of a girl or a guy getting their heart broken and then connecting to the song so it hits you on an emotional level, I realized that makes a difference versus just having some stupid, funny, you know, Barstool type meme or something and just putting the song in the background. There's no real connection. And I saw that the more connected the song was to the meme, the better the outcome would be for the success of the record.
So then you see everything kind of working. Like this guy looking at all the lights and seeing the pod going on. That's right, baby. Out here, the Reddcast. But you see these patterns that are working, and you see everything that's going on. And then so where do you go from, you know, doing these campaigns for each artist and stuff like that? Do you kind of follow that for a while? How long did that like last?
Yeah, I'm still doing it till this day.
Okay.
But at a fraction of what I was back then. But I started growing out the agency. Besides Instagram marketing, I would do Spotify marketing. So on Spotify, there's third-party playlists, which means it's a playlist that you can make, I can make, a fan can make, and they're not official Spotify lists. So, you know, there's official Spotify lists like Rap Caviar or official Apple lists, The Plug. There's ones that are owned by Spotify and Apple. I have third-party lists that are created by fans, and I quickly realized, like, okay, like if I'm able to deliver streams via all these playlists, this is a need a lot of labels could use. So I started growing Spotify playlists myself, and this crazy hack I had was, at the time Fortnite was blowing up, and there was all of these Snapchat pages that were Fortnite Snapchats. So all these Fortnite influencers, fan pages, all different types of stuff. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make a Fortnite playlist. And I bought ads on all the Snapchats saying this is Ninja's official Spotify playlist. So I completely lied. It was not Ninja's.
Ninja was probably massive at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was when he was just...
That's his era, right?
Yeah, his era.
Yeah.
So I was able to grow a Spotify playlist called Fortnite Bangers to 200,000 followers in a couple months. And the great thing about that was all the labels are paying me to be put in the list, and the list could have 50 songs. So I'm only paying to grow one list, but I could fit 50 records in that list. Okay. So it was like really good business model. And I started growing other lists. I started doing more Spotify campaigns. My list ended up dying out and getting deleted by Spotify because you're not allowed to do that. But, you know, it was a good run.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you know, the same way in the beginning how I told you I felt my job was replaceable when it comes to being a social media manager and, you know, managing artists' you know, digital presence. I felt the same thing happening with the digital because I was so early. I was an expert, but there was more experts popping up. There was more competitors popping up. They were bringing stuff in-house. So I said, okay, I need something that they need to get from me that they can't get anywhere else. So I started thinking, I'm seeing all these rap accounts come about, and I became friends with this kid that ran a bunch of meme pages. He ran a fitness account at Harder, had 1 or 2 million followers. I happen to own the handle on Instagram at rap music. So I told this kid, or my friend, his name's Dillon as well, I said, look, let's switch the fitness page into at rap music, and then I'll invest in the account, and we'll, build a rap following, and we'll merge it from a fitness account to a rap following, or to a rap page. So after months and months of begging him to do that, I buy into the account, we switch it to rap music, and then we switch it to a rap page. So now today it has 3.8 million followers, but it grew, a couple million followers over the last couple of years. And for me, that was a way that if I could build, it's in the top 3 or 4 largest rap accounts on social media or on Instagram. That way the labels need to come to me. And even if it's a competitor, they're going to have to come pay me regardless because I'm the one that owns the page. So I started doing that.
Amazing.
And that was a fun journey. And the kid running it with me was a genius, and he really knew how to, merge it over correctly. So that was sort of the next thing. And then, I sort of hit this rut with the agency where, like you spoke about earlier, I'm taking on a song, going on to the next song, but that whole hype of working for these massive musicians, it kind of dwindled a little bit. It became exhausting and, a lot of work, and I didn't have the fire and passion of blowing up somebody else's song. So I said to myself, okay, I want to get into management. And there's this guy, Honor Banks. You ever seen Honor Banks? He does the ukulele videos.
Yeah.
So I became friends with him because I ran the rap account and I would post his content.
Cool.
And I told him I wanted to manage. So one day he hits me, yo, Dillon, or I might have hit him saying, do you know this person? But one way or the other, he introduces me to Bankroll Hayden. And at the time, Bankroll Hayden probably had 30,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And was not signed to a label. I basically went to Hayden and I said, look, I'm not a manager. I've never managed anybody before, but I know how to make songs go viral. I know how to push music. I said, you have the look, the talent. He already had a little bit of a social following. I said, you need the marketing to really blow up the music. And let's get a record deal. So I signed him to management. First song we put out independent. I do a digital marketing campaign. It, God bless it. It went viral immediately. The song was amazing. All the stars sort of aligned. I don't want to take credit. I helped, market it. And within 6 weeks of managing him, we signed with Atlantic Records.
That's insane.
So once again, I was like, what is going on? And it was a large deal. It was a wild experience because, when you're sought after as an artist, it's a bidding war between 5 or 6 labels. So this is me only managing somebody for 4 months, and I'm like, this is kind of cool, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. So they're offering this and that. I remember being on phone calls. They're talking to, royalty split. I have no idea what they're saying. But I'm like, and he signs to Atlantic. And the first song we put out is called Costa Rica. It's now platinum. And I start managing him, having the rap account, and doing the digital marketing. And then, I was enjoying it. I was having fun. But I said, well, as a manager, I'm doing all the digital marketing. I'm also managing an artist. I need to start a record label. So I was getting a haircut in Brooklyn with my friend 3 years ago, and we were chopping it up. And I said, dude, let's start a label. We both had no idea what we were doing. We just put up our own capital. We bootstrapped it. And the second song we signed went viral on TikTok. So it has over like 100 million plays now. And we're able to turn one TikTok song into a full label. Whereas, like, year to date, we've done over 500 million streams.
Oh, my God.
So, today in this moment, I'm still doing everything. I still manage Hayden. I have a digital marketing agency. I have the rap account. But my real goal is to make a record label that is digitally focused, and it's moving in the direction of the future of music. So I think, the traditional record label system is archaic and outdated. And I think the way that I'm taking it is the future of music. It's more shorter deals, artist-friendly deals, fairer splits, more transparency, and a lot of digital help, which is the key to success in 2022.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's where I'm at now. And the goal is to just really just scale up the label and have it so one day I'm competing with the majors. And it's a tall task, but I really want to break a superstar and sign a superstar to my label and watch that journey,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, what you talk about Bankroll Hayden, I mean, he's huge, and so you're managing him, and he's currently signed to Atlantic still?
Atlantic, yeah.
Okay, which is a major label. I mean, it's huge. So when you look in terms of like the label that you just started and you're looking for artists and stuff like that, how do you go about like looking for artists that you want to sign, or how do you spot somebody? Is it like how many views they're getting, how many monthly listeners they have maybe on Spotify? Like, what are some key things that you might look at in order to maybe sign somebody that you think will be big?
So there's a couple different ways. The first is the most obvious, is that the numbers are there. They might have a trend going viral on TikTok. They might have a song charting on SoundCloud. Maybe they have some sort of viral moment on Instagram or Spotify where the numbers show up on my data report. So I have people that work for me that are scraping data and looking for trends, and, I get sent that. So that's the first way, and that's the easiest because, it's more so, okay, this is what they're streaming, this is the song. If I come in as a business, if I invest this much money, I can make that much back and grow the song to, this point. The second is really just gut shot and just really just a feeling. And that's what I try to rely on. It's somebody can have 0 followers, 0 streams, 0 nothing. But first part is, their personality. So how they hold themselves over the phone, how they communicate with people, their energy. Because I think superstars and successful musicians have this untangible it factor that you can't teach anybody.
Yep.
It's this special thing you can just feel and sense by talking to them. So that's the first. The second is obviously the musical talent. And then the third is, what is their team like around them? So, who's around them? Where do they live? Who's in their ear? A lot of the times a bad manager can sabotage the career of a good artist.
Yeah.
And I would say those are, and it's in between, sometimes there's some numbers, half look, but it's usually those two ways. And, I have an A&R, multiple A&Rs that work for me, and, weekly I get sent music, and then I, will meet the artist and decide if I want to sign them or not.
It's cool, like when you went back to the point where you're still doing the things where you started, like that digital marketing and everything like that, you're still doing, like you said, at a fraction of it, but I mean, to this day, it's so crazy to hear that whole story and then just see how the pieces all kind of fit together to getting where you wanted to be.
Yeah, it seemed like it all had to happen. It was all part of the great plan, and it just went full circle, and everything that I learned and took from me made me who I am today. And every skill set I had to pick up to make me a good music label exec and to run a record label.
I love that it was trial by fire. Like, you were just like, I had no clue. I was just going.
No idea.
But it was crazy because you said, Vine. That's the era of which it kind of all started. We're going back, and now Vine is not even existent anymore.
Yeah. And music, the industry is constantly changing. Think about when we were young, Napster and LimeWire. We would take music for free.
That's insane. I know.
There was a point when labels thought they were going to completely go under because everyone was streaming music for free. And then obviously going into streaming, and then, we had MySpace. Back in the day, people were discovered on MySpace. That's how a lot of talent got discovered. That's, before me. But to see how it got into now, it's pretty much all TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok's the number one way to discover music and also to market music. And I have a love-hate relationship with it.
That's what I wanted to ask is, what are your thoughts on TikTok?
It's tough because you can have a really talented artist and they're not having a moment on TikTok. Therefore, they're not getting the same recognition as a crappy artist would with something going on TikTok. And, for me, even as the record label, I'm guilty of it myself because I find myself choosing songs to release that I think could go viral on TikTok. And I think that takes away from the real art and talent of the musician. But at the same time, it's, you know, you can have it. What do you want to do? Do you want to have an amazing song that nobody hears, or do you want to have a song that everybody hears because it fits TikTok? And, you know, this is in the early stages. If you get to a point where you're a big enough artist and you have a big enough fan base, you don't need to put out TikTok songs. But I think in the beginning, it's the most valuable tool. And I'll also say that artists that know how to market their own music on their own channel, those are the ones that win.
Yeah.
Because most don't. A lot of artists are divas, or they feel like they don't need to, you know, be on TikTok, or it's corny. Those ones have a lot harder of a time succeeding than the ones that are just embrace it and just say, I'm going to come up with a viral strategy and, you know, post and make it cool in my own way, you know?
Yeah. Just somebody who comes to mind when you say that right away is Russ. I mean, looking what he did on TikTok, and he was already pretty big at that point, like before doing that. And then he had that one viral trend where he had the open verse challenge, and it went crazy. Every TikTok I saw was somebody doing that trend. And I think you're right. I mean, the artists that can use that themselves and actually do you, so like on your label, would you, if you talk to an artist and they're not really, you know, that interested in that part of it, are you trying to convince them like, hey, you got to do this? Or is there people that you have that may help them out with it?
So I try to offer them advice. I have people that work for my label, even my partner, David. We try to do our best to mentor and coach them on, you know, how to make content, give them examples of other artists that are doing it successfully, and give them a blueprint. But, you know, a lot of times if the artist doesn't want to do TikTok, you know, they don't do it. And sometimes that's the end of their career. Now, I don't want to say that's because of TikTok, but just the way things are going right now, the ones that, I'll put it this way, the ones that are do it have such a greater advantage because TikTok's algorithm is so specific that it'll find who your fans are, find exactly who likes you, and it'll continuously show your content to them. It's way better than Instagram. It's way better than anything.
Their algorithm is unbelievable. It's
insane.
So far above, so far ahead of every other social media platform. And I was the same way with the love-hate relationship you mentioned with TikTok. I was like, man, you know, I've been doing these hype videos on Instagram for a while on my story and stuff. And it's cool because it's marketed for our friends, like, you know, like people who know me. And then I'm like looking at TikTok. I'm like, damn, 5 years ago, I'm putting these on TikTok. It's over. I mean, they're going crazy. And I have had a viral one or two, but in the beginning of TikTok, I was like, man, like, I don't, it's not for me, you know? Although at that point, like when it first started, seeing what it is now and how people are using it, it's pretty cool. Like I do see the advantage of it. But, you know, in the beginning, it was a lot of those dance ones, you know? And the whole like trend thing also threw me for a loop at first, that you were doing the same thing that everybody else was doing. And that's what was going crazy.
Yep.
But that catches.
Yeah.
And I think if you're, what you said to the point of when you're talking to the artist, I mean, at this point, you have to be able to see the value in getting on there and marketing. And it is kind of crazy to see the conversion when people get to like Instagram and stuff like that. Like when they get like massive followings on Instagram because of that, I mean, have you had any experience or have seen like, you know, people who are able to convert? Because at first it didn't look like people were converting well from TikTok into other platforms. But now it seems like it is, especially like YouTube.
Yeah, you can. You 100% can convert over. I think, you know, it might be a fraction of what you have on TikTok. But if you can, it's really about cultivating an audience and a cult fan base where people are obsessed with you. Therefore, they're willing to follow you on all your channels. I don't think it is just native to TikTok. I think it more has to do with how the person on TikTok cultivate their fan base and makes them willing to switch platforms. There might be somebody that has a very passive fan base. They like their videos. Like it might be like a hot girl in a bikini, but not enough where they're invested in them, where they're going to follow them on other social media platforms, buy their merch. And I think that also ties into music. In 2022, how do you cultivate, you know, a cult fan base versus having passive listeners as fans? And I think a lot of labels are struggling with that right now, is figuring out, you know, how to really break artists, because we can call them successful musicians, But as far as a real superstar, there's not really any. I think Jack Harlow is the only one.
No,
really
you're right.
In the last couple of years.
No, 100%.
Think about in 2016 with Uzi, Kodak Black, A Boogie. There's, or even in our year when there was Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller. There was real superstars. And I think that the attention span of everybody and TikTok and streaming, there isn't these people that are like, when was the last time we had a Kendrick or a J. Cole?
Yeah.
Think about that.
No.
And we would have like at least one or two a year, Yep. I would say up until right before pre-COVID, and then during COVID, it seems like a lot of the superstars,
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. A lot of those, because when we were really into it, it was, that was when Wiz Khalifa was on the come up, or at least that's when I had been into hip hop for a while, but when we were in high school, like Wiz Khalifa was on the come up, and then Kush and OJ dropped. And it was like, and we had known a lot of songs prior to that. And it was cool to like see his sound kind of change over time, especially because I think Say Yeah was that Atlantic? Was that an Atlantic record song?
I think so.
I think it was Atlantic record, but he had mentioned that he was not, they were, to follow the route of like that song Say Yeah, like he's obviously pivoted and gone so, different from that. And it worked out to his advantage, but that's how he wanted to go. But that you're right, like the superstar status, it's not the same as it was.
Yeah, and even it goes into celebrities in general, actors, actresses. I think being very accessible on social media and having a plethora of options and being able to see them all the time takes away. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like to me it takes away from that superstar power.
Yeah. Because all their social media is portraying who they are, and you're able to stay like
accessible.
Yes, exactly. You see everything they're doing.
Yeah.
And so it takes away from that almost that mystery part of who they are and stuff like that.
Yeah. And even, I don't live in LA anymore, but you definitely saw that happening with the whole TikTok era and social media influencer era and, all of these famous people, but not,
It's crazy to see how the YouTubers are like the big names now too. Like going off that point, like you said, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, like those guys, they were big on Vine and everything. And then YouTube, Logan Paul's insane on there. And like all these other guys, the Nelk Boys, I got the Full Send merch on right now.
Let's
go. Those guys are like, it's amazing how well known they are, but it's almost like it's kind of flipped, like the superstardom. And to get to the level of like the people you mentioned before, it just seems like it's tough to get there when you're one of the social media stars because, again, they're so accessible.
Yeah, and there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. Are you intertwined with those guys as well, like a lot of social media influencers?
Yeah, not on a massive level, but I've built a lot of relationships with them because I use them to market my music.
Yeah.
Not the massive ones, but a lot of the TikTok people I work with for my label and Hayden, I try to build a personal relationship so they really can care when they're marketing because what I've run into and a lot of record labels I've run into is you have all these TikTokers. They all want to chase the bag. So they're getting paid by 5 labels and 5 agencies in the same week to make a dance to a song or do something for the song. They don't care. So they're just grabbing the money, doing some crappy little, dance,
it's
and then
crazy.
it's on to the next. So what I've learned is I want to build personal relationships with as many influencers as possible so that when I give them a Banco Hayden song or a new 11 record song, that they'll be passionate and they'll make something creative because it's back to like I was saying about the memes. The TikToks are just all about how creative you can get,
And what catches. It is crazy that the algorithm works like that where if it catches and people are liking it quick and people are staying on it and viewing it like multiple times or just watching the whole way through, it just picks that up and it pushes it. And the more creative you are with them, it was cool to see the shift because I do think you see a little shift in like TikTok and the way it's going. I'm seeing a lot more different content now. And of course the trends stay. That's a thing that I think will always stay on TikTok, but I'm interested to see how the rest of the social media platforms kind of follow. I know they've been following with similar things like Instagram and Facebook both have the reels.
Yeah.
And I think it's good because you actually mentioned before, like when you're first starting out, and you're trying to build a following or build a brand and just generate awareness, I think those type of things like Reels and the TikToks, like they're the way that you can really get it out there at first, before anybody even knows who you are. And it can change in a day.
Any moment, one post, and your life changes.
When COVID was going on, at what point of your journey were you at that point?
So COVID.
Because that's when I'm thinking like the whole TikTok thing was going crazy. And you had was it Dogface, the guy, or whatever his name was that he had the
Blueface?
No, the guy, the guy.
Oh,
that
the
had
guy on the board.
Yeah, on the board. I forget.
Yeah,
I don't even know his name.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The cranberry juice.
Yeah, he would ride around.
And that thing went crazy.
Yeah.
Went crazy.
I would use him for songs. Yeah, because he'd have a song playing. He'd have it
Yeah.
on Instagram too.
Yeah. So I mean, during COVID, like that's when I really saw that kind of blow, and I like TikTok just going crazy. And I was just wondering, like, where at your point, like, if you noticed anything during that time period of like, is that when it caught on? You were like, all right, this is what we need to do.
I would say it was even, 6 months to a year before COVID, but I would say it peaked during COVID.
Yeah.
And that's when still there was a lot of dance trends and still records going viral and songs blowing up because of TikTok. Today, like you mentioned, the algorithm's different because there are less dance trends on TikTok, and the way they're pushing the algorithm out, songs aren't coming out and being as big and viral as they were. And I think it's still the best asset a marketer has to promote a song, but I'm patiently waiting and checking out what's going to be next because there's going to for sure be an evolution of it.
Yeah.
And I think record labels are kind of shitting themselves right now because during COVID, they would say, okay, we have this trend going. Let's just throw $50K at it, make it blow up. We'll have every influencer pay for it. The song will go gold or platinum, and then we'll find the next TikTok song. And I think they're realizing that because TikTok isn't allowing trends to happen at that same rate, it's then hurting the labels because stuff can't go as viral. Therefore, people aren't streaming the song as much.
Yeah, so it's not generating as much awareness or drive to the song.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where social media is going, and I mean, you're so intertwined in it, and you've the whole story of the come up is like the whole digital marketing and all that stuff like is where it started. So to see where it's at right now, I'm interested to see kind of where it's going, and I'm just trying to hammer the podcast clips all day and just throw them out there, see what happens. A couple did catch a lot of views, which is it's always interesting to see what type of content goes crazy.
Yeah. Have you noticed a pattern?
No, I mean it's crazy. I mean, obviously the ones where my energy is kind of portrayed in the clip, a lot of those will catch. But there was one where I was just talking about, of course, the drama. Drama is like everybody loves that. I was talking about a fight here. Like I told a story about one of the fights, and it got like 300,000 views. But it was
on TikTok.
On TikTok, and
wow.
and of course, all the ones around that. Like obviously, that was what's crazy. It was part 3 of 6. Like I did like one of the part 1 out of 6, part 2. It was part 3, so it was just kind of like a random part in that story. And then, of course, the next part after had a lot of views and a couple of the other ones around it. And then, ever since then, there's nothing been like that has caught that crazy. But it's interesting in the podcast clips. I'm testing it. Obviously, this is kind of like now that I'm putting all the clips out. I do really like the way. I mean, the setup is awesome. It's cool.
And it's all about consistency and just continuously to be consistent and creative. Even I tell my artists, I have this one artist signed to me. He had a record go viral on TikTok in August, and he's been posting content all the way, into December. He calls me a week ago. I want to quit music. None of my songs are hitting anymore on TikTok. I said, listen, be consistent, keep being creative. Your time will come. And then he made this silly Christmas freestyle in the back of a car. Ends up going viral, and now he has a song called Glocks and Raries, which is like a Jingle Bells interpolation. Or Deck the Halls interpolation, and it's going viral and it's streaming crazy, but it's only because he just kept staying consistent and creative.
Yep.
But if you have one video go viral, there will be more. But I would imagine it does feel defeating sometimes too, because you're like, oh, this is the one, this is a great viral clip.
It is.
And then
It's wild that, especially I'm sure artists, because for me, I'm just posting clips of what I think is cool, like good clips of like the podcast and stuff. So I don't really necessarily think any are going to just catch and go. Mm-hmm. I'm just putting out the content that I think is quality, clips of the podcast and points that are being made. And then you never know when one catches and it goes. So, but switching topics here, I want to talk about, we were talking about how you become, recently, a baller on the court. You've been doing some basketball and stuff like that. I do remember back in, high school, you were an insane bodyboarder, correct?
Yep.
Have you been able to? But I do remember as well. Didn't you have back issues back then?
I had a brain neck surgery I had to have when I was 15. Basically, the back of my when I had my growth spurt, the back of my head didn't fully develop, so my brain was going into my spine, and a cyst was growing on my spinal cord. So they had to remove an inch of my skull to allow the CSF nerve flow to open up the cyst. So then there was therefore flow. And that's why I originally stopped bodyboarding in high school. And I really stopped doing sports at all. And it took me really like 13, 14 years to start going to the gym more, build the confidence up. And, now I've been playing basketball weekly. And surfing as well.
You have been surfing?
I've been surfing, not weekly. I live in Miami now, but I've been getting in the water. I was in Costa Rica over the summer. I was surfing every day. Snowboard, I still snowboard.
Damn. Because I do remember like it really inhibiting the ability for you to get out there, but everybody knew like how good you were.
Yeah.
And it sucked that you weren't able to get out there and like do it, because it was something that you loved. But then I see like down the line here, because again, also we've stayed connected through, when I first started my Instagram, that was right after I had done the, my shred and the 310 to Yuma.
Yep.
So, that's when I was really that's when I really got reconnected with a lot of people, which was cool. And that's when I really was like, yo, social media is dope because I can reconnect with all my friends and stay in touch with them now and follow what's going on,
Exactly.
Like not in the detail of you just went through that whole entire story and the finer details. And I would have never known unless I had a chance to like sit down and hear it. But that's when I kind of caught on. But that was, I guess like 5 years ago or so. And was that when you about got into the gym and everything like that? Do you lift and stuff like that? Or what's your...
I get after those 5-pound dumbbells, you know what I mean? Bi-weekly, full body workout, But yeah, I have a boxing trainer where I do boxing with them. And then we do weights, twice a week. And then also a basketball trainer. So working on my jump shot, baby.
So when do you like, in terms of going into the boxing and the basketball, the interest, where did it spark? Like, how'd you get into that? And was it just overall because you did start getting back into fitness? Like those things just kind of popped into your mind, like, oh, this is something I want to do?
Yeah, it was a really serendipitous moment for boxing. So I had a trainer in LA before I moved to Miami. And Andrew Schultz, the comedian.
Yeah. Oh, hilarious!
So he had a boxing video of him boxing. I sent it to my personal trainer in LA, and I go, "Yo, I want to do this." And he goes, "That's Donato. That's my boy. When you're in Miami, let me know, and I'll connect you." So I moved to Miami, and my trainer in LA refers me to Schultz's trainer in Miami. So
let's go.
That's how it happened. But I love watching boxing. I've always, I've gone to multiple Canelo fights. I've been to Tyson Fury fights. Always been a huge fan. And I figured, what better way to get a workout than, run the bags. And it does get you like,
Oh, it's an insane
jacked,
workout.
And the cardio is insane. And Donato is a great guy. So he made it really fun and enjoyable to work out. So it sort of just happened because of an Instagram clip. That's when I got into boxing. And then, I'm hyper competitive with everything I do. In my building, I live in Miami, there's a half-court basketball gym inside the building. And one day, my friends asked me to play 3-on-3. I was so bad. They started playing weekly. And, I want to be the best, or I want to be competitive at least. So I said, man, screw this. I started Googling, freaking basketball coaches, basketball trainers, and I found a guy.
Let's fucking go, dog.
Shout out Derek.
Yo.
And he started training me like 3 days a week to the point where now we're in Jersey right now, but when I stay in New York, they have full court 5-on-5 games. People that played in college, I would say I'm either in the middle of the pack or in like the top 20% of best players, So, well, I shouldn't say that because I'm probably going to miss every single shot now moving forward after dropping that. Or somebody from the game is going to be like, nah, he's throwing it over the basket.
They're going to see the clip. They'll be like, nah, we ain't letting that happen. That's dope. So, and it's something that you kind of really come to love and do. And we were just talking about how it's like the passion almost. It's cool that developed later because like my whole thing with the gym, which is why I was interested in your fitness, like where you got into those things, was for me was baseball. Because like we were talking about how I skated back in the day as well, and I just remember all of our friends being at like Curtis Park. We were actually hella basketball back in the day at Curtis Park, and dunk ball.
Yeah, and at Byers, we played at Steffens or at Seegert too.
Oh, Byers' house, that's right, dude.
Remember Byers back here, we had that tournament.
Oh, unbelievable. He had an unbelievable court back there.
Still does.
Yeah, still does.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played not so long ago, actually. You know what's crazy is I realized, so do you remember like dunk ball was like the thing? After school, it was like,
dunk, but
that was 8.5 foot universal. Listen, if you're playing dunk ball, it's 8.5 feet. Universal. Don't go 9. 9's a little taller. Do not go 8. That's too short. 8.5. It makes it so, if we were as tall as NBA players, it's almost the equivalent,
Exactly.
So, but that was so much fun. But just thinking back to, like, you playing basketball now, I'm just thinking back to I remember after school, we'd go to Curtis Park and just play all the time and then dunk ball.
Well, I was best friends with Sean Grennan.
S. Granny, baby. Shout out.
Senior year.
Dude, shout out to S. Granny, bro.
And I actually tried out for a Manasquan Warriors basketball high school team senior year.
You did our senior year?
I tried out, but
shit.
I didn't get on the team. But that was when I first really fell in love with the sport.
Mm-hmm.
But then it went on the back burner when I was, working and figuring out the whole music stuff. But full circle now. Yeah.
Do you find that? And I asked, there's a friend of mine. He does like sketch comedy online, and he's built a pretty good following. And his name's Saberm. Shout out to him. He's awesome.
He's been on the podcast.
He has been on the podcast. Yeah,
I think that's the one I watched. He has 2,500 views on YouTube. Is it that one?
That one was Tobias Eats.
Oh,
so
I know
he's
that guy.
He's big time in Jersey too. Like he's just in general, but he knows he's got a lot of big connections. But that one's got 2.2 K views. It's crazy. So he's a really great guy too, Tobias. He's just awesome. But Saberm, I was talking to him about fitness and stuff because I played baseball with his brother in college, and I was just asking like how important fitness is for him just as a release, and if he uses it as that. Obviously with the basketball and the boxing and stuff, you kind of love it, but do you find any like peace in it, like just breaking you away from doing all the work you have to do?
1,000%. Couldn't have said it better myself. Music, it's a great industry to work in, but it's highly stressful. I'm putting out fires all day. A lot of negative, I don't even want to say negative, a lot of challenging stuff happens. And, going max effort at boxing or basketball and all that pent-up energy and just going after it full throttle, as soon as I'm done, there's like that release where I just don't give a shit about anything. You know what I mean? Like you just smile, like a problem happens, you're like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Whereas before I get anxiety or, I'm stressed. So, I played basketball for 4 hours 2 days ago. And, I got dinner with my partner and a couple of his friends for Monday Night Football. And I was like feeling like I was on, the best drug ever in the world, just buzzing.
Yeah, it really has that effect. Do you have like in terms of like, it's so funny. I always joke with Will. Shout out to Will. I was just talking to him earlier, and he was so hyped when I told him that you were coming on the podcast. As with Terrence, he says, what's good. But we always joke about the process because like ever since I opened Reds, I just developed this like process that like, I wouldn't say I need it every day, but I want to start my day with it. And although it's not, I would love to be able to just, I wake up, I hit my Folgers for the soldiers, obvious, right off the rip. Black as night, just right down, just hot coffee always. Don't matter if it's dead summer, winter, hot coffee.
Me too.
Folgers for the soldiers, black, always. And so, that's when I kind of have, when I first wake up in the morning is when I have most of the time to just kind of relax for a minute. I have like a 2-hour period of like, because I'll make myself wake up with 2 hours to get myself going. And I'll drink the coffee, take the anti-inflammatories, shower, and then I'm coming to Reds. Or if it's the day I'm off, then I'll go to the gym. And that's kind of like my daily process. So I kind of wake up, relax. Some of the times I have to wake up and I come right to Reds and we have stuff going on. The days where you can't really get much sleep and you got to be here because there's a football game at 12 the next day. So we're open at 9, Mm-hmm. But do you have any sort of process like that where, is the gym part of it, like before you go and do things? Is it something where you're doing it after work, or is it just kind of day by day it changes?
It's day by day. An ideal morning for me would be I wake up, I leave my phone on Do Not Disturb, play some relaxing music, even if it's rap, just some chill Drake or, some sort of vibe like that. Get my coffee, and then the first thing I do is I have a balcony, or if I'm not traveling, I'll go outside, or if I am traveling, I'll go outside, I like to get sunlight. Those first 20 minutes, sun in my face, sun in my eyes really wakes me up. I try to do a 2 to 5 minute meditation, even just laying there, laying down, just deep breathing to get refocused. And then, boom, the thing about working in music is a lot of stuff happens while I'm sleeping because I'm on the East Coast in Miami, and artists could be awake until 2 a.m. And, as soon as I turn it off, Do Not Disturb, usually it's just, I got to attack.
Yep.
But it's nothing too crazy. As far as the workouts go, a lot of times I'll actually do my workouts at 11 or 12. So, I get my most effective work done in the morning, and I do it before everyone on the West Coast is even awake. So then they're starting to wake up. I do my midday workout, and then I can crush the second half of the day.
Damn, that's awesome.
Because I do the basketball training in my apartment complex or the boxing gym's 5-minute drive. So I don't have to be anywhere.
That's cool that you can knock that out, and then, they're just getting kind of going for the day, and it's like you can hit it and go.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is like ideal for me too, is like just hitting that workout before anything. Like I would love to just wake up, have the coffee, go work out, and then have the rest of the day to do everything. But what I realize with my schedule is, and we're not open every day here. So we've been doing mainly like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But I'm on the bar life schedule. Like I'm going to bed at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I'll go to bed at 10 a.m. I won't go to bed at all.
How much did you sleep last night?
Yeah, hour and a half. Just a quick nap. And then I was up, and there was a lot of things in my mind. Also, really, as soon as I woke up, I just, especially we were doing the podcast earlier today. We usually do it at night. So I was like, all right, I want to be ready to go. And I got to make a juice to the fucking gills, dog. And I got to hit that process. That process for me really is important, like to do that. Like even when I was in Hawaii, and it was funny because the people we were out there with, like they're in Hawaii, and they're only there for a certain amount of time, which I was as well, but it was an extended stay. Like I was living with Terrence. I was there for 2 months. Mm-hmm. I bought a one-way flight there, and I said I'm going to buy the one-way flight back whenever I want. And so, amazing. I'm like every morning I'm waking up, taking my time. I don't have to rush to Reds. I don't have a million things on my mind, like the schedule, how many security guards we need. Is one guy going to show up? Somebody calling out sick? This girl can't make it. This guy can't make it. It's like that process is very important to me. And so we're out there, and they're like texting me, but Do Not Disturb, like you said. I'm just not even – I'm watching podcasts. I'm kind of just floating on social media, seeing what's up. And again, the time difference thing in Hawaii was I was waking up way, past when everybody else here was waking up. So I'm catching up on social media, talking to everybody, making sure I stay in touch with everybody back home. But it's just that process I feel like is very necessary. I mean, that 2-hour process that I have in the beginning, and kind of like what you said, you do that process, it kind of just sets me straight for whatever I have to do, whether I am going to go to the gym or just like kind of come to work and be here for the night,
I have a question.
Okay.
How many Bang energy drinks do you drink per day?
Wow. These guys, what's crazy is,
you're keeping them in business.
Dude, and they just got, they just had the lawsuit and all that stuff. But I'm telling you what.
They'll be okay with you.
Shout out. I must shout out. Everybody sees the Bangs on my Instagram stories and everything. They keep me flowing. Shout out to Sam Johnson, who got me onto these things. He was the one drinking them when he was coming to work. He's a good friend of mine. He did an episode, actually, and it was an awesome episode. But he started working in bartending, and first night he showed up one. I was like, man, let me try these out. Amazing. But, yeah, I'll get up to, I've done up to, 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day.
Oh my God. How many?
Which is
insane.
That, 5 bangs? That's 3 bangs, and there's a little bit more. There's 300 milligrams per. So the coffee, I do 200 milligrams, and then I'll usually just have, one more energy drink for the day. But there's some days where I'd wake up, have the Folgers for the soldiers, come to Reds, and then I'd lift after. Because the gym, to me, going back to the gym and everything like that, it stemmed from baseball, which is a point I was making before, and I don't know if I actually solidified that point, was I got into fitness and everything like that because of baseball. But I would wake up, have that, I would come to work, and then I'd want to hit the gym because I don't want to miss my days at the gym. It's the release for me. It keeps me sane. It keeps me,
grounded.
Yeah, exactly. So just like you said. And so I'd have the Folgers, I'd come here, I'd eat, I'd rip a bang, and then after the night would end, we'd clean, we'd get everything set to go, and I'm getting ready to hit the gym at 5 or 6 a.m., so I got to have my pre-workout or another bang. So, I'd be killing three servings of 200 to 300 milligrams of pop.
That's insane.
There's no other way. The thing is, I'm sure you've known, I'm sure you've had days like this where you got to, when you have something on the line or you have something that you really want to do, the sleep is not an option, or just missing what you have to do to get ready for it. It's even the other night, everybody left and everything, and it was still kind of, not as clean as I wanted to be for us to shoot in here. And again, it's concrete floor, we got the back. It's not like it needs to be spotless, but I went and I mopped the bench, I mopped the floor. Like, I just wanted it to be a certain way. And when you have things that you have to get done, I'm sure with you, when you have, schedules going on, or you have to drop something by a certain time for an artist or something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no other option.
Yeah. You have to make it happen. Like, how you're on the east or up here in New York City till when?
Until the 19th.
That's sweet. I was so hyped when you DM'd me and you were like, I'm in the city. Let's do the pod.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, because this is one that I've been wanting to do for a while. So, so what's going on with you now moving forward? What's your plan? Are you looking to build a record label?
Yeah. So the goal is continue to build the record label, continue to manage Hayden. I'm not looking to take on any more management clients. Hayden is, my prime focus on that end. I think also growing out the rap music page into building it into, doing some interviews and maybe a YouTube, making the TikTok bigger. But the real goal is to build the record label into a real business that, one day I can retire from,
Yeah, absolutely.
No time soon probably, but, just something that, I can work really hard and have an exit strategy, because I felt like with the management and the marketing and even the page, it generates, good income, but it's sweat income. You have to work for it, whereas the label, I build a catalog. So my catalog does, over 1 million plays a day. And, once you're done marketing the song, you have the catalog forever. So you can build something and then one day sell it. So that's my goal, is to really, one, build a business I can sell, but two, most importantly, I really want to, discover a musician and break a superstar. I want to be a part of that journey, so that excites me. That's my number one goal.
That's awesome.
Is to break an artist. Hopefully in a couple of years I come back, we can say, oh my God, so-and-so, and he signed to Dillon's label, and, he's doing Madison Square Garden, come backstage, So that's the goal.
Amazing. Amazing. Without a doubt, I don't doubt that it's going to happen. But actually, this just sparked something in my mind that I did want to talk to you about, because, again, with the whole rap pages and everything like that, Dapper, right?
Yeah.
He's a friend of yours.
One of my best friends.
Yes.
He's in the city right now. I'm getting dinner with him tomorrow.
Oh, let's go. So I watched a podcast with him. And I guess I did want to bring up in this podcast is Bobby Hendrickson and Eddie Franzoni.
Yes.
Have you been in, before I go into the point about Dapper, because what you said really sparked what I was thinking with him, what I wanted to ask you. But you've been in contact with them. Have you worked with them at all, or are you just? So
I work with Eddie. Eddie Franzoni, he pays me for ads on my rap account.
Okay.
Because he has a digital marketing agency. And then Bill and Bobby Hendrickson, they're building EDM Lifestyle, which is our EDM club. And they're
DJ's
no,
Lovers
it's
Club?
DJ Lovers Club.
DJ's Lovers Club.
Sorry,
Okay,
I don't
cool.
listen to house. I'm sorry, Bill and Bob.
We got it.
They're building out a media platform. They actually live down the street, and just kind of like how me and you have stayed in touch for the last 15 years. Me and Bill have always stayed in contact, and he moved to Miami as well. So we do the cold plunge, we do the sauna a couple times a week, have boys night.
That's so sick.
I love to give them advice and sort of help them prevent any mistakes I might have made, because they're trying to, do something similar.
Yeah, and of course, Bill and Bobby, what they're building, it's like they were built for that.
They were. They finally, it was just a matter of time.
The energy that they just put out there, it's unbelievable.
You need Bobby on the podcast. You and Bob would be electric.
Him and Eddie are supposed to do a collab episode. So us three. Yeah, I hit them up, and I was like, I really, obviously, again, I've been able to stay in touch with them. And it's cool because the fitness and the energy videos really keep me connected with everybody. Like, because you guys hit me up on those things, like on my Instagram stories.
Greatest state in the union.
Dude, greatest state in New Jersey, baby. It's greatest state. But I did say this on the podcast previously, during the COVID era, Miami, as its own state, was the greatest state in the union. New Jersey has taken its place back there. But I figured you had to be intertwined with them, and I believe Eddie must know Dapper as well, or no?
Eddie worked for Dan for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I believe. Probably 3 years.
Yeah, because the pages, and I actually sent him the podcast because he was talking. But what I wanted to say about the whole Dapper thing is, when you were talking about that exit strategy, it made me rethink business as well. It just put it in my mind, because I think about Reds, and like my grandpa was the original Red, right? And I'm just thinking about the OG and my hero. And so or my original hero. Of course, my dad is my hero as well. But, I think about Reds and like what it was. And my grandpa, all he wanted to do was, run the bar, take care of my Aunt Darlene, and, live out the rest of his life with my grandma. And that's what he wanted to do. And he loved it. And he did that until he passed. And I was thinking about it, like, for me, I had this opportunity very young to come and run this place with my family. My dad and my uncle opened Reds in Newark, Reds Beer Garden. It's right next to Prudential Center where the Devils play, Seton Hall basketball, concerts. It's insane there.
Hot spot.
And then they brought up New Brunswick. And so it kind of worked out because what we turned it into, what I was able to really, cultivate here is the younger crowd, like the club feel. Especially after COVID, that's all that's left here. There's really no happy hours, and the food and all that's non-existent.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, we were talking about this before the pod. We didn't get into details, but that stuff is non-existent anymore. The happy hours from 5 to 9, it's done. There's nothing. It's all on the other side of the bridge. And even, it's not even what it used to be because everybody's working remote. Nobody's coming to the offices around them,
Wow.
So that really, hit the business hard. But it just worked out because – I was young. I like to party. I like to go, my spot DJs. We were just talking about it. So it did work out. But what I was thinking was, Reds is, and of course my nickname Red as well, which is cool because my grandpa was called Red. So for me, whenever anybody says, "Oh, what's up, Red?" It's like amazing. I love it every time. But Dapper said something in the podcast he did, the Money Buys Happiness podcast. I don't know if you've seen any episodes of that, but they just signed
Canada,
it with,
right?
they're from Canada.
I was supposed to. They asked me to come on the podcast. And
They did.
Of course, I waited. I wasn't doing podcasts at the time. I was too nervous to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, by the time I got back to them, like they already had their moment.
Yeah, they got signed by the Full Send,
was out,
and now they're doing they're sponsored by Full Send, and so I was actually like you said when they were a little bit like smaller, but they were still getting good guests. Like they got Dapper, and I got to learn his story, and he was talking about something specific. And also, that's a great podcast, by the way, the Money Buys Happiness podcast.
Yeah.
They're awesome. So I'd love to chop it up with them because I don't really get many people that I could really dive into the business side of things with. Of course, my energy always gravitates towards different topics, and of course, I do love hearing about what everybody else is doing. So. They were talking business with all these people, and I was like, it'd be sick to talk about, especially what we went through with COVID and everything, and kind of detail where it brought us and what it was looking like just from what you would see, and then literally what you would look at on the P&L at the end of the month.
What you're actually going through.
Yeah, like it's crazy, and so I was thinking about reaching out to them, and then they already had their moment. And
I was gonna say. Remind me later of the week. My friend is really close with them because he's from Canada,
sick.
So I can ask him if he can do an intro.
Yeah, I'd love to just talk to them because I remember that's how they originally started, and now they're getting, but they still stay true to that, So Dapper was on that, and again, staying true to they were talking business, and Dapper was talking about, they were asking, about when he was selling businesses or what his goal was, and he's like, I think the goal always is to make the exit, which is what you just said, and that put it all in perspective for me too because. Again, running is, you get to the point where you're running a successful business. And I was just thinking about Reds. It's like, it's our family business. Like we've been doing this forever. Then I was like, you're just getting your ass kicked every day in this industry, And I was like, man, maybe there's a way to do, this as well as start something where my energy, goes into it, or just in general, thinking about businesses like where you eventually will make the exit. Like you build it up and then you make the exit. And it just put in my mind and started wheels turning. Like obviously I'm very focused on Reds and what we're doing here. And it's my family business. So, I'm never going to leave it, but it was just like, it put it in perspective that there could be something else where you could do that.
Yeah, you can always have a side hustle. If it turns into the main hustle, you can still consult and work with the business, but have somebody take over the day-to-day operations. You'd always be a part of it. It's
absolutely.
the family business.
Yes.
But I think building something on the side that, like you said, a project, whatever it might be, a brand, something that one day, once it's done, you can retire off it, or make money and invest it in something else.
Yeah, because it's you hear about people selling their business all the time and stuff like that, and then when I heard him actually put that out there, like on that podcast, and he was like, I think the goal is always to eventually make an exit, unless it's something that you really hold dear to your heart that you want to stay a part of. And I was like, that's it. I was like, because at that point I was also getting my, again, this industry is very grueling, but anything when you're grinding and working for yourself and doing something like that, it is very grueling, especially the bar industry and how many hours it takes and stuff like that. And that, I was like, damn, I was like, that's a great point, making that
Yeah.
exit. And then you made that point, and I was like, all right, wait, I wanted to ask about that because, again, I see you with Dapper. Like, he's in your, your
he's one of my
stories and
best
everything.
friends, yeah.
Getting dinner with Forbes 30 under 30?
Yeah,
Or
got Forbes 30 under 30.
Guy's a stud, man.
Savage.
He's a Jersey guy?
Yeah,
Let's
Jersey.
go. Come on.
went to
State in the Union.
Ramapo.
Come on. Greatest state in the union.
Come on,
It's all
man.
time, dog.
Come on now.
That's dope. So, yeah, but I wanted to ask about that, and then the Bobby Hendrickson and Eddie Franzoni thing. Again, the whole staying connected is cool that, like, again, we all kind of grew up together. And now you guys are all in Miami, and you get to hang out still while you're working. You work together. You do your projects. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's a great life. I can't complain too much,
dope.
you know?
It's dope. And still so much work is being done by you guys. It's amazing to see. And, how do you like Miami?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll find my future wife there, but I enjoy it. I thought I was going to save money on taxes, but, because, 14% income tax in LA versus 0% in Miami. But everything's so expensive, I ended up spending more than the 15% that I was saving in Cali. But I love it. Right now it's 80 degrees, no humidity. You can wear shorts and a, short sleeve shirt. Everybody there is just there to have fun, to have a party, enjoy their lives. There's none of the Hollywood bullshit with followers and all of that. And there's not too many, finance bros or anything like that. There are some weirdos there and, a lot of, there's the whole credit card scammer vibe, with rented Lambos.
For sure. Yeah.
But better believe we're going into a recession. So those people are going to start to dwindle
Start
off,
taking the hit. Are you in crypto or anything like that or what?
Yeah, I actually just sold a decent amount of Ethereum yesterday.
Well, that's taking a hit, yeah. I mean, it's.
No, I bought it for $300 to $400 per ETH.
Okay.
Like in 2015 and 2016.
Yeah, so back, yeah.
So I made money. I just, I had a conversation with a close friend. He's very successful. He's very smart. He's 10 years older than me almost. And he's very convinced that, 2023 into 2024, and, hopefully not for Red's sake, but, that the economy seems like it's headed into a darker downward spiral.
Yeah.
Versus an upward trend. And, it's never as bad as they make it seem to be. But for me, it's not that I don't have savings. I just thought to myself, well, I'm in the green for a decent amount of money on this Ethereum. I might as well sell it right now, and I'll buy back in once it goes lower. And if it goes back up, it's okay. I made profit. Profit's profit.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I did get caught in the NFT trap. I was trading NFTs for like a 3-month period. Unrealized gains were insane. I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I got diamond hands and I wrote it right back down to zero.
Oh, rough. I mean, that market, the NFT market, I was
Pretty scammy.
I mean, it was unbelievable what was going on. And then of course the whole thing with the banking freeze and FTX. But it's when you're in Miami, I feel like it's massive down there.
I'm so happy everything crashed because peak COVID, anywhere you go, any guy you go, what do you do? Oh, I work in crypto.
Yeah.
What do you do? I got crypto, bro. I trade crypto. I have an NFT project. And these people, they worked at Dunkin' Donuts and now they're making NFTs, and then they're saying it's the future and, they're experts. And it was this entire delusional, uneducated group that all had the same false belief that this was the future and that we were going to make millions. And I'm in that category. I fully believed it. But, reality sunk in. I also think that just the general economy crash didn't help NFTs, but, having a picture of a monkey and the only utility of it is that you're in like a private chat with everyone else that owns that same picture. At the time, I was like, oh, you can network and all these smart people. I haven't talked to anybody since. I didn't meet anybody. I didn't meet any good friends. And you go to these NFT events, and there's not people that I want to hang out with. Once you start seeing who was also trading NFTs, and I'm like, you're looking around like, well, I'm here, so I'm one of them. I was like, I can't do this.
This is wild to hear it firsthand like this,
No, it's wild. And my portfolio was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars at one point, and it completely, went down. With that being said, I think that decentralization and using NFTs as a way to keep a record and ownership over a digital asset that has utility. So let's say an NFT for musician, that NFT gives them VIP passes. It gives them early access to music.
Yeah, 100%.
But at the same time, do you need an NFT to do that? Can't you just have an email list?
You can just offer it. Yeah.
Like I'm just being honest. Like
Yeah,
I'm one of
it's
the.
true.
I've definitely had conversations like, oh no, like NFTs are the future. It's gonna change. I'm like, well, do people? I mean, I don't know.
Well, Gary Vee was very heavy on it,
deep.
and Gary Vee was deep in it, and I mean, still deep in it, of course, probably today. But he was like, he speaks it into existence. If he says it, it's like everybody.
He's been real quiet.
Yeah, right now I'm sure he is, he's been. But
he's back to trading baseball cards and going to garage sales.
Well, what was crazy was, so I saw the whole NFT thing, and I was like, I was thinking about seriously like doing research on it and then getting into it, and I was like, I'm gonna wait a minute because I don't exactly know what's going on, and I want to see what happens. Like, because if it's going to be around, the thing was, I was like, all right, if it's going to be around like everybody's saying it's going to be around, then there's no reason for me to rush in this and get in now and then risk losing whatever the hell I put in. And, of course, you got to, in order to win anything, you got to put, you can't hit unless you swing. That's how they say, it's what they say. But, I was just like watching. And then, of course, this all happens. And I don't think it's something that it's like not going to come back or whatever. Because, again, the whole utility thing that you just mentioned, I think that's a huge upside to it. And I think a lot of people are going to use it for that purpose. I think the tough thing is exactly what you said on the other side of it, is do you really need that to offer those things?
Yeah, and as far as crypto goes, I do think it has a place, and I believe in decentralization, but I think everybody's realizing with the FTX and with no regulation is that it needs to be centralized. There's been so many people I know that have got their NFT wallets hacked for millions of dollars. They've gotten crypto stolen, and then they told everybody, well, keep it on a hardware hidden in your safe. I'm like, well, if you're just putting crypto on a ledger in a safe, why do you need crypto to begin with? It's basically investing in a Ponzi scheme because you're just hoping that the price of it keeps going up. And I own Bitcoin, I own Ethereum. I think it's a speculative, high risk, high reward asset that if you know the downside, is cool to have in your portfolio. But at the same time, I was really just goo goo gaga about the whole thing, and I've sort of turned a corner and realized it's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but it's like, look at FTX, look at a lot of the people that run a lot of these coins. They're not smart or good people, and I think crypto, because of the lack of regulation, the lack of transparency, it attracts a lot of shady people. Therefore, it makes a shady industry. And people would say, oh, nobody launders money with crypto and Ethereum. And I remember the IRS was saying that it's a huge concern. And I remember when I was in the thick of things, I was like, oh, yeah, come on. The government's crazy to think people will be laundering money in crypto. But being on the other side, I mean, it's very obvious. Hundreds of millions of dollars are being laundered, and illegal activity and drugs and guns and a lot of negativity is used via it.
Yeah. But when you're in Miami, in the heart of when it was taken off, like that was where everybody was saying like, yo, NFTs and crypto. Like everybody was in on it.
Yeah, well, you know what Art Basel is?
Yeah, oh yeah. They just had that.
They had it this year. Thank God it was normal. But last year it was NFT Basel.
Oh.
Coinbase sponsored this event, Crypto.com event, FTX event. It was only NFT things. And even just being there, I just said, this isn't sustainable. These people are spending millions of dollars on these events for these weirdos to all come up. Like, this whole thing is just weird.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, for me, it was a very, very needed lesson because I also had a lot of my money in the stock market, and the stock market has been crashing. Because experts back 3 years ago, they said, oh, cash is trash. You want your money growing for you. I said, okay, I'm going to put all my money in stocks and crypto and NFTs. And then the market crashed, and they're like, cash is best. I'm like, well, which is it? Because when the market's doing good, you say to keep putting it in, and then when it's doing bad, it's like, oh, you should have sold.
It's so tough to follow what everybody's saying and what's going to be good, what's good now, what's going to be good in the future, what's past and never going to come back. It's tough to see all that, but I mean, I think I've heard it all over time, and I just when I was watching what was going on again. So I went to Miami on like a spring break trip 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely electric. That place is unbelievable. I actually hope to get down there. Like I do want to be down there for a period of time. Yeah, event or festival. I want to be down there for like
go for like a month.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna get back down there for an event or festival 100%. But I want to get down there and just live there and just experience that. And I've always been in Jersey my whole life, so like I was talking to you before the podcast about like the whole COVID thing, about how, there's so many businesses that didn't last, and we're kind of looking at the numbers now to see what's happening. Yeah. But like if God forbid it doesn't work out, Miami might be in my near future.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I mean, I think we've hit it for a while. Hour and a half about or so.
It?
Yeah, it's 5:30, so you got the trains coming up soon.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you for having me
good
on.
topics. Oh, dude, again, thank you for coming down. I'm so hyped that you reached out and let me know that you were here and that you were able to do it. I'm glad it worked out schedule-wise. And amazing, again, just going back to the intro when I was saying how I can't wait to hear the story. Like, hearing the story and getting the full details, like, of how it all came to be, absolutely amazing, dude.
Crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable. Congrats on all the success, dude.
Thank you.
And good luck with the label. I mean, it's inevitable that it's going to happen.
I appreciate you.
No doubt.
It means a lot.
No doubt, dude. Awesome. Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. We'll have to stay in touch, as we always do.
Of course.
And when I'm down in Miami, I will let you know.
Amazing.
Link up.
Let's get it.
Awesome. All right, dog.
All right.
Good. We out.
Thank you.
Let's go. Banger episode, baby.